He lost everything in one night. His job, his money, his family's trust, everything he had worked for gone. And as he sat alone in the darkness, the silence screaming around him, he asked himself a question that would change his life forever. Is this the end of me? This wasn't just some story. This was the story of a man who thought he had it all. He had once been a man of undeniable success. A skyrocketing career that others envied. A happy home filled with laughter and love. A life that seemed brimming with endless promise. But here's the thing about success. It can be incredibly fragile, especially when it's built on weak foundations, and his were cracking. Little by little, almost without noticing, he started making choices that pulled him further and further away from his core values. He chased the thrill of more money, but in his pursuit, he ignored his family waiting at home. He chased fleeting moments of pleasure, but in doing so, he ignored the well-being of his own body and mind. He was building a beautiful house on a crumbling cliff, and he didn't even see the edge. And then, life did what life does. It tested him. A sudden downturn, an unexpected challenge, and he was completely unprepared. One small mistake, born from pressure, led to a bigger one. One lie told to cover a crack created a whole chain of them, a web so tangled he couldn't escape. And soon, his entire world collapsed. Not over weeks or months, but in a single, devastating night. He was left with nothing but the echoing silence and the crushing weight of his own shame. Everything was gone. The days that followed were a blur. He walked the city streets with no destination, no direction. Every single step felt heavy, like he was dragging the weight of his entire past with him. Every thought was a replay of his regrets. A painful montage of what-ifs and if-onlys. The friends who used to clap him on the back suddenly disappeared. The family who once looked at him with pride now turned their backs, their disappointment a wall he couldn't break through. And the voice in his head, that relentless inner critic, it screamed louder than ever. You ruined everything, you are nothing. You deserve this. He was at the absolute bottom, lost in a sea of despair. But in that profound silence, when all the other voices faded, something else, a tiny, quiet whisper began to emerge. You are still alive. You are still breathing. And if you're alive, you can rise. It wasn't a roar, it was a flicker, but it was enough. He began again. Not with money, because he had none. Not with power or connections, because those were long gone. He began again with the only thing he had left, discipline. He started waking up before the sun, a small act of control in a life that felt completely out of control. He took jobs that others looked down on, sweeping floors, washing dishes, swallowing his pride with every humbling task. He faced the humiliation of seeing old colleagues, the averted eyes, the whispered judgments, but he refused to quit. He just kept showing up, and slowly, so slowly, he barely noticed it at first. Step by agonizing step, his life started to rebuild, and into the flashy structure it once was, but into something far more solid, far more real. He was becoming the man he was always meant to be. Through his actions, not his words, he earned back respect, one person at a time. Through his consistency and his honesty, he began to regain the trust he had shattered. And most importantly, in the quiet moments of hard work and solitude, he discovered himself, finally understood. Losing everything was not the end of his story. It was the beginning of his true one. You see, sometimes life has to break you down completely. It has to strip away everything you think you are, to finally show you what you're truly made of. The pain you feel is not your enemy. The failure you experience is not your grave. Think of them as the fire, the intense heat that forges steel. It's in that fire that your real strength is created. When you lose everything, you also lose all your excuses. You lose the distractions, the ego, the attachments. And in that moment of absolute emptiness, you are finally free. You are free to start again, from scratch. Free to rebuild on a foundation of truth. Free to rise stronger, wiser, and more authentic than you ever were before. So if you're listening to this right now and you feel broken, if you feel like you've hit rock bottom and there's no way up, please remember this man's story. Remember that your story isn't over. It's not even close. Losing everything is not your ending. It's your reset button. It's your ultimate chance to rise again, to write a new chapter, to become the hero of your own life. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, Follow our channel for more stories that remind you, no matter how hard life hits, you always have the strength to stand up again. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.